Hey guys, back again. Today I've actually got a tutorial for you. So I'm going to go ahead and today I'm going to show you how to prime a Cartomizer and set up your J-Tank or Carto Tank. A couple different names that they go by, but I've always called them a J-Tank. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to set that up today. Obviously the first thing that you're going to need is your Cartomizer. This particular tank is an XL, so I'll be using an XL Cartomizer to go with it. So first thing we're going to want to do is just go ahead and unpackage the Cartomizer. My personal preference for Cartomizers is Bogue. There's different ones out there made by different companies, but I've used a lot of different ones and found that Bogue actually give the best vapor production, they give the best flavor, and I also think that they last the longest typically as well. Alright, so on your Cartomizer, once you open it, if you are in fact using a Bogue like I am, it may vary depending on the brand, but just for argument's sake here, if you're using the Bogue, you're going to get two different size caps on the Cartomizer. Okay, now if you're using a standard size J-Tank, to prime the Cartomizer you're going to use the shorter cap. If you're using the XL like I am, you're going to use the longer cap that you have here. So just go ahead and remove both caps. In the longer cap, there is a little tip here, a little plug. You just want to go ahead and pull that out. Pull your other cap off. Now also on the inside of the Cartomizer, you'll find the little plug here. So you're just going to go ahead and remove that. If you don't have a pick like I'm using, the end of a fork actually works really well. So you may need to do that if you don't have like a little pick. Alright, so priming the Cartomizer is going to be the first thing that you're going to do to actually set up your J-Tank. Alright, so I've got my XL cap here. Again, if you're using the standard size Cartomizers, I typically use the shorter cap of the two to do this. You can see that they are two different sizes there. Alright, so what you're going to do is you're going to take your juice. I've just got some high caliber e-liquid here from Electronic Sticks, and you're going to fill this cap. I'll try and get it so you can see this here. You're going to fill this cap about 2/3 full of e-liquid. Whether you're using the small cap or the big cap, just the same. It's still going to do about 2/3 full of e-liquid there. You can kind of see it there. And what you're going to do now, I've seen this done a few different ways as far as which end you will put in to actually prime the Cartomizer. Typically the way I see people do it is to put the top of the Cartomizer in, but I prefer to do this from the bottom. I found it actually helps saturate the Carto more thoroughly throughout the bottom through the top. So what I do here is I plug the top of the Cartomizer with my finger just so any excess juice doesn't get out of the top. But from there, what you're going to do is just go ahead and slowly push down, and if I can get close enough, you can see that all the e-liquid is actually just soaked right up into the Cartomizer, and you can see there that we are getting some liquid in there. So the e-liquid is going all the way through the polyfill, which is what we want to see. We want to see that the whole Carto gets soaked, not just the bottom, not just the top, but the whole Cartomizer gets soaked. So kind of what I do is I push it down, and then I back off, and then let it breathe through the top a little bit, and then just kind of push it back through again to get that remaining e-liquid soaked up in there. It is generally a good idea to have a paper towel around when you do this, just so you can avoid kind of making a mess. So once you get that e-liquid soaked in there, just go ahead and pull the cap off. Now usually there'll be a little bit of e-liquid kind of left in the top here. In this case there's not, but if there is, what you do is you just go ahead and wrap the paper towel around the bottom of the Cartomizer and just go ahead and blow it out. A light blow is all you need, nothing too crazy, just to kind of get any of that excess e-liquid out that would kind of gurgle or spit back into your mouth. Now, if this is the first time that you're using your J-Tank, the first time you're setting it up, or generally after you wash your J-Tank, what you want to do is you just want to go ahead and take a little bit of your e-liquid and just go ahead and put some on the O-rings on the inside of that tank there. This will do two things. First of all, it'll make your Cartomizer slide in more easily. The second thing it's actually going to do is save your O-rings. So it's going to make sure that your O-rings don't get stripped over time. Personally, I've never had to change out any of my O-rings because I've done this prior to every fill. Alright, so just go ahead and put that e-liquid in there. You don't need much, just like a dab, and then just kind of move it around there. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take your Cartomizer and you're going to put it threads in first. If you go the top end in first, the edges of this Cartomizer are fairly narrow and kind of sharp, so to speak, and will actually gently strip your O-rings. So you just want to take it, go ahead and put it threads in first. You just kind of go ahead and give it a little twisty motion here. It'll slide right in. If this is the very first time and you just barely got your J-tank, it will be a little bit stiff, so you want to make sure just to give it a little bit of pressure and just go ahead and keep pushing it on through. Like I said, there will be a little bit more of a resistance, but it'll go right through if you just kind of do that twisty motion there. Now the next thing you're going to want to do is just move the Cartomizer close to the top here. Not quite all the way. You want to leave a little bit of room that you can basically push the Cartomizer to the side with your finger there. Because what you're going to do next is go ahead and put the nozzle of the bottle on the opposite side of which you push the Cartomizer to, and just go ahead and fill it up. Alright, just like that. Alright, once you've done that, just go ahead and slide the Cartomizer right through. Again, if this is the very first time you're doing this, you are going to need a little bit of pressure. So what I'm basically do here is put it on the table and just go ahead and basically a push and turn, and you'll see that it goes right through. Okay. Once you've done that, that's all there is to priming a Cartomizer. You can go ahead and stick it right onto your drip tip. Stick your drip tip right onto the tank here. That should go right in. And then basically all you need to do is vape it. So let's go ahead and see how this thing vapes. So just a fantastic, super clean vape, very good flavor, and then they work really well. Now, a couple things I want to go over with you to make sure that you're actually getting the right Cartomizers. And you want to make sure, if you're using this in a J-tank, you want to make sure that you purchase the Cartomizers that are punched with a hole. Okay, otherwise this totally defeats the purpose of the J-tank. So you want to make sure that you get punched. Now, as far as Bogue goes, there's a few different kinds of Cartomizers. There's punched and then unpunched, obviously. And then you're also going to have the standard and then the XLs. Okay, again, using an XL tank here, you want to make sure that you have the XL Cartomizers. If you're using a standard size J tank, which is this guy right here, you're going to want to make sure that you do get the standard size. Okay, and then obviously, for those of you who don't know, you're going to have two different resistances. You're going to have a standard resistance, and you're also going to have a low resistance. For non-variable devices, like your ego pass-throughs and things like that, you're going to want to use the low resistance. Okay, it's going to have a lower resistance, so it's going to hit a little bit harder because obviously a device doesn't have that variable voltage range. If you're using a variable voltage device, such as a ProVary, an Ego Twist, a Winder, an MVP, anything that has variable voltage, you're going to want to use the standard resistance because that's going to allow you more of a range to play with the variable without burning up your Cartomizer. Okay, so just a few tips there. I picked my in fact, all of my J-tanks were picked up from electronicsticks.com. This particular one is their triple anodized aluminum and Pyrex glass J-tank. Just an awesome quality tank. These particular tanks are a little bit pricey. They run around $50, but you can pick up their regular polycarb tanks for $17 for the 3.3 milliliters. They go up a little bit from there depending on the size of the polycarb J-tank. Okay. Another thing you can pick up from electronic sticks is the Delrin sleeves. Alright, so this is just a white, basically a piece of white Delrin plastic that you can pick up from electronic sticks. You want to get one of these if you're running the more acidic juices. So like the Shocker from electronic sticks is a more acidic juice. It will crack polycarb. Alright, the hot cinnamon, the flamethrowers, anything that is more acidic like that, you want to make sure to run it a Delrin because it can and will crack your tank. Okay, so just a few tips there. But I think that pretty much about covers everything as far as filling your tank, priming your Cartomizer. We'll go ahead and take one more vape here. And that's only running around 4 volts. You can crank it up from there to get a better vapor production. On a standard resistance Cartomizer, you can go as high as 6 volts and usually be okay. Just bear in mind, the higher your voltage, the faster you're going to burn up your Cartomizer. If I'm using strictly Carto tanks or J tanks, I can typically get about 5 to 7 days out of a Cartomizer before I need to replace it. And when you need to replace it, you're going to notice a few different things. You'll notice that you're going to see a loss in vapor production, and you're just going to consistently get kind of a burnt flavor. So that's one thing to keep in mind. That's kind of a good indication of when you'll need to actually change that Cartomizer. So watch this video again if you need to. Watch it as you're filling your tank. Pretty simple to do, though. Should just take you a couple of minutes, and hopefully everything works out for you as far as that goes. If you have any questions, please leave it in the comments. I'm on YouTube under my channel Zero Was Cool. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook under Lord Vapor. So hopefully this helps, and vape on.